Okay, this episode is called Mega Home Madness, and we are in the WestWind area of Richmond, at the corner of Trumpeter and Gannett Crescent. Now, as we pan down the street, you can see this is quite a lovely neighborhood. Many of the older houses here, ranchers, two-story ones, very, very nice. This was one of the more upper-class executive subdivisions. It was quality controlled. There was design guidelines and various other restrictions, so you didn't get these mass-produced houses. Unfortunately, what's happened in this area, it's under something that's called a land use contract, which is a special designation that was given, which sort of preceded actual zoning powers to the city. And unfortunately, a loophole has been exposed in the land use contract, which has upset many of the area residents. And we're going to look at a couple of houses over here that are being constructed to show you what the big contentious issue is. So we're going to go over here and we'll show you. These houses are probably the original houses are probably from the early 70s. Now, over here we have a new house. And the contentious issue is the interpretation of the land use contract and the zoning rules. The latest design feature is to allow for a very, very tall entranceway. And basically we call it building massing, where there's not as much usable floor space, but the aim is to build the house so it looks as big as possible. It has nothing to do with the function inside with rooms and proper floor area, but it's to build. I won't get into the formula now, it's fairly complicated, but as you can see, the aim is to build as big a front and as tall a front as is possible. Okay. Now, as you can see, if you're living next door, like the house over here or the house over there, you feel you're being overwhelmed. And the other thing too is, as you can see, many of these houses have nicely landscaped yards. Many of these newer houses take up a lot of space on the lot. They don't have as much of a lawn, and the back, and they go to they're quite deep in the back as well. As you can see with this house here, it's even got a big shed in the back. So this house has a heck of a lot more volume to it than most of the houses that are consistent with it. So then we'll turn around over here. We'll just right immediately south of that house is this house over here. You'll see the same pattern coming forward. That very, very tall. I think the ceiling heights in those are up to 30 feet at the very, very, very peak. And again, the aim is nothing to do with function. It's just to build as big a house as it physically can look. And what has happened is the area residents have gotten together and tried to fight it and say, no, we've got to stop this because look what it's doing. It's cleaning out our backyards. It's doing all sorts of things that are affecting our ability to live. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting, is as we can see, there's another house over there being built, which we'll just stand away from right now. But you can see the basic framing of the structure. It's basically a one big empty hollow spot up the middle, and that will be the sort of architectural feature. It's not very practical. What had happened is that people had complained to the city, and this is where you start to see who your cities, saying those butters that are bred. What has happened is, it seems like you get this faction of the builders and some of the new property owners who come here with their offshore money feel they're being discriminated against because these people are feeling overwhelmed with this construction. Now, the ironic thing is this construction often sits empty. Like this house here, I can assure you if I knocked on that door right now, there'd be probably nobody home. Okay, this is a common pattern here, absentee ownership. So the House serves no function than to be a piece of speculation. Now what we see is our so-called elected representatives who have been informed several times by their own resident constituents of this issue, yet it seems to be there's no concern expressed at City Hall. They are in the developers' pockets and other parties. In other words, the locals can go to hell, and this pattern will continue unabated. So that's what we're seeing here in Richmond again. Catering to the offshore interests. There's nothing practical about it. It's just all about money and your voter base and your support base. Okay, that's a wrap.